I'd like to introduce Dave Scelba. He's CEO and co-founder of SGW Integrated Marketing Communications, one of the largest digital marketing agencies in the state. I think I just made that part up. He has a very exciting interactive presentation that I expect to be awesome. I hope everybody else thinks so, so please give a warm welcome to Dave Scelba.
You know, to prepare for today, when you first asked me to speak, I did what anybody would do. Google statistics, public relations, advertising, look and see what the salary guides were across the country, what the median averages may be. Like, for instance, account managers, average across the country, $108,000. Let me tell you something. That average comes out to, if you're in the city, it's about $250,000. If you're in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, it's about $9,500. That's how you come to that average. PR, $57,000. $45,000 for graphic artists, $43,000 for videographers or video editors. And you're going to hear nice figures about, well, our industries will stay with the rest of the industries and grow by the year 2020 by 13, 14%. And PR will grow by 20%. Boring, boring, boring stuff. And I always believe, and one of the things I preach, is a 3E trilogy. Entertain, educate, and engage. Because when you do entertain someone, they're being educated, they don't even know it, and you can engage them. The other thing, too, is that any of you can go and Google all these statistics. Just go to the Bureau of Labor. They're ridiculous statistics anyway. They're really meaningless. Because what they don't do, they don't explain what the difference is between a career and a job. And that's the most important thing. And the funny thing is, the best explanation for definition of a career versus a job was from Chris Rock. Anybody ever see Chris do this bit? Listen, I'm not going to imitate him very well, and with all of the F-bombs taken out, it's probably not going to be as funny. But it goes like this. A career is when you're working. Look at your watch. It's 8:15 p.m. Nighttime. You haven't eaten lunch. You haven't eaten dinner. You say to yourself, where did this day go? You say to yourself, man, I better get in here bright early tomorrow morning, 6 a.m., because I got to get this project done. That's a career. A job, 9 to 5 job. Come in, working. Look at your watch, 9:08 a.m. You say to yourself, man, I ain't going to look at that watch. 4 hours, I'm not looking at it. So you're working. I'm not looking. Working. Don't look. Can't be. Got to be close to lunchtime. Working. Look at your watch. 9:30 a.m. The quintessential explanation of a career versus a job. So, in thinking about it, I said, you know, I've had a lot of life experiences. I didn't exactly take the traditional route. But if I could come up with like 10 principles, I call them like 10 commandments to embarking onto a career, maybe it'll help you. And I collaborated with my Cuban creative collaborator, Leo Montes de Olca. I always like to throw the R in, Olca, because it sounds more romantic, but Olca. And we came up with a little presentation that as you embark on a very, very challenging, extremely competitive, but a very exciting career, we hope this gives you some provoking thoughts and something to think about as you go on.
507,000 people were looking for work in the state. Many helps the 5% of college grads move back into the market
Thou must know thyself.
Be honest with yourself. Understand your strengths and be willing to recognize your true weaknesses. Make a list of each and establish your USP, unique selling proposition, and determine the essence of your own brand. How many of you have ever taken a marketing course here? All right, so when you had that course, you were probably given an exercise to perform a SWOT analysis, right? Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Before you could take that product or service and bring it out to the marketplace, you had to know how to position it, place it, promote it. You have to do the same thing for you. So you do the SWOT analysis to figure out what the strengths of that product is, but you need to do that SWOT analysis on yourself. Because if you're going to properly prepare yourself for an interview and get out in front of people, you have to be honest about your strengths, be honest about the weaknesses, and your opportunities and threats. You need to look at those because that's going to help you to direct where you want to go to market. So let's talk about your strengths. If anybody puts on a resume or when you're in front of an interviewer and you say, I'm a really, really creative person, means nothing. What are you creative in? Be specific. If it's graphic arts, talk about the software programs you're really, really proficient in. Talk about your weaknesses. Why do you want to list your weaknesses? Because you want to work now on converting those into strengths. The opportunities that exist, well, think about it. Do I want to be on the agency side? If I'm on the agency side, do I want to work in a small agency where I might not have that much room for promotion or growth, but I'm really going to be noticed and I'm going to learn a lot, and they're probably going to ask me to do a whole lot of different things? Or do you want to work for a mid-sized agency, you have that little bit of potential for growth, and still be able to expand your talents? Want to work at the big Madison Avenue firms? A lot of pay, that's exciting, right? That's the burning and churning place to be. You will be worked to death there. But it's cool. You're going to learn a lot. And it's kind of fun to tell all your friends, hey, I'm working on Kellogg's Corn Flakes, or Depends, or whatever it might be. Opportunities. That's where, again, looking at those opportunities, you can also be centering in on the client side. And if it's client side, is there anything that really, really intrigues you and interests you, like pharmaceutical? Then you'd be looking at trying to start your career on that client side. What are the threats? The threats are everybody you know. Your teachers, your parents, your cousins, your girlfriends, your boyfriends, your barber. And the reason why? They all want to help. They have your best interest at heart. But what they really don't know is what's in your heart. And that's the reason you need to figure out this SWOT. Because, you know, when you're in that interview, what is going to make you different from him? You're creating your USP, unique selling proposition, when you go through this exercise. And really what you're doing, you're trying to get to the core or the essence of your brand. Because when you have that opportunity to brand yourself in an interview, it's a one-time shot. The other threats, don't listen to the media. It's all bad news. Jobs are up, jobs are down, they never get hired. All dismal. So that's a threat to you because it'll get you depressed even before you get out of here and have a shot to get into the real world. So turn that off completely.
Thou must never fear failure.
Fear is a paralyzing emotion that can paralyze your ability to succeed. Fear is often just speculation and a total waste of time and energy. Never forget, if you think you can fail, you probably will. Abolish this thought from your mind. He's just too stupid to know he can fail. Too stupid to know he can fail. That's what my brother said about me. Yeah, and I had news for you. He was right. Because I never, ever thought that there was a time in my life where I'd fail. It's not that I was smart or a genius or anything like that. I just never thought of it. You see, my brother and I grew up, same parents, same household, same background, and we took two very, very different paths. And maybe some of you have siblings and you've already recognized that. My brother, brilliant guy, really probably one of the smartest, intelligent people I ever met. And probably if you met him, you'd say the same thing. He could have been a doctor, an attorney, a rocket scientist, anything. Photographic memory. Great musician. Hear a song one time, had it locked in there forever. Really, very envious of that photographic memory. Now, me on the other hand, I really didn't like school all that much. I kind of, depended on my personality to get through an awful lot of things. And people used to say to me, hey, you'd be great in PR, but nobody knew what PR was in those days, to be honest with you. And I hated school so much that in the 70s, there wasn't any type of attendance policy. I graduated college in 2.5 years. But my brother took kind of a safe route in life. He's got a great job, good salary, hundreds of people work for him, but he's not responsible for their payrolls. Got bonuses. Me, on the other hand, I have no salary. My company doesn't make money, I don't get paid. I had hundreds of employees over the years that depended on me and their families, but guess what? I had to make their payroll. So my brother looked at me and said, you're one hell of a risk taker. I never really considered it a risk. And I started thinking back, why did this happen? Why did this occur? Why is he so different than I am? I got this career, he's got this, job, good. But I love what I'm kind of doing. And I remember when we were kids, maybe 3, 4, 5 years old, my father was going to teach us how to swim. Took us to the pool, he took me, threw me in. And I just started paddling around, kicking my feet, and I floated. So I never thought that I could sink. My brother, who's a smart one, he saw that, and he ran away. He's no Michael Phelps to this day, I'm going to tell you right now. He hates the water to this day. Take that thought about failing out of your mind, because the minute you start thinking that you can fail, you've already defeated yourself. In our business, we're faced with monumental challenges each and every day, like parting the waters. Somehow, we make that happen.
Thou shalt embrace change.
Change is inevitable. And if you learn to accept it, greater opportunities will always appear. Pray to be granted the serenity to accept the things you cannot change, the courage to change the things you can, and the wisdom to recognize the difference. Change is inevitable. It happened to me. A change I never wanted, but it was forced on me. That little serenity prayer, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Anybody know what affirmative action is? Well, I was a school teacher. Affirmative action was brought in 1965, probably before most of your parents were born. And it was a law to level the playing field for minorities with, at that time, who controlled all management positions, the middle-class white guys. And it was a good law. It was good because it brought diversity into a lot of places and organizations that didn't exist. How it affected me was, I was a school teacher. Had my BA, had my MA, certified to be a principal or at school. And I was teaching high school in Irvington. And they had this position called administrative assistant. You know what that is? That's the high school cop. You know, you're the one that's got to go into the fights and all that other nonsense. And this is way back, this is in the 70s, 1979, 78. And so I applied for the job. I was qualified. 4 years teaching. Superintendent calls me down to the office a few days after and said, Dave, you know, we just want to let you know you scored the highest on the interviewing process. But I'm sorry, we can't give you the job. If we do, we're going to lose our funding. I understood it. I had no problem with it, really. Good friend of mine, Kurt, African-American, I knew he was going to get it. And I said, hey, Tony, I said, you know, I know Kurt, he's a great guy. He's going to do a good job for you, really. He looked at me and said, unfortunately, we couldn't give it to Kurt. I said, why? I said, well, there's a woman who's going to be retiring in about a year or 2 years, Matilda, and she has some friends on the board. So we couldn't give it to him either. Let me tell you something. I was steaming. I was furious. I mean, some Board of Education connection cut my, what I thought was going to be a career out from under me. I'll tell you right now, the best thing in the world that ever happened to me. I went home. I said to my wife, I want to quit. I'm going to quit teaching. I want to go into business. Now, this may be another reason why my brother thinks I'm a little stupid, because my wife was 9 months pregnant. I had a guaranteed job, benefits, pension, the whole bit. You know what my wife said to me? If you think that's the best thing for us to do, I support you 100%. If you get anything out of this talk today, let me tell you, you find a spouse or your partner to settle down with, make sure it's somebody that really understands what your life is going to be and what your career is going to be, because that's going to be your big, big support mechanism in life. She hadn't said that to me. I'd be one miserable SOB teaching someplace and unhappy. Anyway, found a job with Equitable Life Assurance Company. They were going to train me and I become a CFP, Certified Financial Planner. Did it. Got all the certifications. Went on to work with them for a year, and I said, you know what? I could do this on my own. So, again, brilliant move during a recession. I went out on my own. My wife supported me. And it was not that great. Because the only people I knew that had money were musicians and teachers, and they didn't have any money for me to invest. Luckily, out of the blue, out of nowhere, I got called by a headhunter for Stetson Hat Company. And they said, listen, we've got an opportunity for you. You know, we'll train you. It's going to be to import hare skins and rabbit skins from around the world. Sounded like a dream kind of a situation. Around the world. And you'll run a factory of over 360 some odd people. I really wasn't, you know, thrilled about this move. But I was faced with a situation now. I had to make a change because we were financially in a situation I had no choice. So I had to take a job. But that job led to my next opportunity.
Thou must be passionate, dedicated, and committed.
Careers are built on passion that will bring you happiness and satisfaction every day of your life. Passion is the foundation and key to becoming dedicated and committed to your profession. Find your passion, and work will never be a job. I hated my job. I hated it. The reason I hated it was every day I'm walking through this rabbit factory like Elmer Fudd. It was dirty. It was disgusting. It stunk. And I was miserable. I had no passion. And all of a sudden, one day, I'm walking through this garbage plant, and there's a big pile of waste that we were throwing out and spending thousands of dollars to dump every week. And something hit me. I said, wait a minute, one man's garbage is another man's gold. Could I turn this garbage into some money? Well, this is way before the internet. And I finally found what they could do with all of this garbage. Fly fishing. Anybody know about fly fishing? They take these little hair fibers and they make these little, flies that catch trout. Okay? What I did was I found the two master distributors in the world. One was at Peter Vineyard Limited in England. The other one, Ray Rumpf and Son in Pennsylvania. So I sent them samples, and I negotiated with them. I said, $32 a pound. Donald Trump of fly fishing here, right? $32 a pound. Solidified the deal. They were thrilled. I went back to Stetson and I said, I'll pay you 5 cents a pound. Because I know they're selling, dumping it for thousands a week. They were thrilled that I paid them 5 cents. This is where I learned I made one of my biggest marketing mistakes. You see, at $32 a pound, they were able to buy that and convert $32 a pound into $10,000 because they took a little sprinkle, dumped it in a little plastic bag this much, and sold that for $10. I didn't do my homework. I didn't do my marketing research. I just pulled that number $32 out of the air. I said, well, I think I'm willing to pay that. There's some point to start. So, after about 4 months of selling all this garbage to them, they never returned my calls. I couldn't figure out why. Well, what happened was they thought that this tap could be turned off at any time. And within a 3-4 month period, they bought enough supply to hold them over 10 years. I single-handedly flooded the entire worldwide fly fishing material marketplace. So what do? I went in competition against them. That name of the company was Scelba Son. So I had a son at the time, I didn't have my daughters with me yet. And then I was going to go against them and Polecat Fishing Accessories, Inc. Polecat, by the way, means skunk. Anybody knows anything about fishing, I always got skunked.